On the 11th day of throws tips my throws coach gave to me, the 11 positions, patterning. Okay, I'm not going to give up, and I will not be remembered for my great vocal skills. However, hopefully you guys are enjoying these tips, and in today's tip, we are going to talk about positions patterning. What does that mean? Well, this is one of the tricks that we talk about inside the throwing chain reaction. We've talked a lot about different things and different tips, and of course, we are going to always share things that we apply and we have had lots of success with. I am not sharing tips with you that we are just think are random general throwing tips. These are things that we have proven year in and year out for the last decade with over 10,000 plus coaches and throwers, and the type of outcome that you're looking for. What is that? Bigger results faster, bigger results consistently, and bigger results that are happening easier because there's a very easy structure to simplify complexity and move forward. So now we're going to talk about positions patterning. What does that mean? Well, patterning is one of the things that we talk about when we train our athletes. One of the things you do when you have a blank slate athlete, they have no bad habits. So now what's tricky though, it's not always easiest taking somebody who has no idea how to throw and training a pattern. So what we're going to do is go through a general progression throughout multiple weeks, and we're going to be teaching all those fundamental skills, and we're going to be doing reps. We're going to be creating patterns. So if we teach, as we've talked about, we have two types of drills, throwing drills, and we have position drills, right? We have isolated positions. So we're going to focus on the throwing, the motion, right, which is the sequence, and learning how to correct and have the right timing to initiate the sequence. Then what we're going to have is our isolated positions. So when you're developing or you're trying to create or correct bad habits, this happens all too often. People come in and they have learned an inefficient pattern. They have learned something that was either I call a distance killer, which is flat out incorrect concept. It's going to be just create a massive limitation. If you're capable of this, but you have this type of technique, this is all you're going to get out of that certain technique. Then you have things that are what I call 50% right, which is a don't. That's a thing that we say, these are kind of half right. I understand why it's being, you got to be real careful about how that's implemented. And then we have our unequivocal do's, things that we just want to do, understand. Something as simple as being heel-toe position, block leg toe in line with the delivery leg heel, so when you're lined up and your feet turn into throw, your hips can easily turn and face the throw. And when you have yourself toe to toe, you're blocked out, you can't get around, and you're going to tend to open up. What happens if that's one of the things you've learned? How your block leg was set up like this, you can never turn, and you'll always open your upper body too much, which disengages your legs and causes a massive limitation on your potential and a limitation on improvement and distance. Two things we absolutely don't want. So what are we going to do to create that pattern? Well, we're going to put it in, and we're going to do a combination of drills that are going to stop that upper body motion. So we're going to be retraining, and we're going to be retraining typically drills. We have a drill called a block leg activation and a hip twist. So we're learning the sequence of how do we initiate and activate the block leg while activating the delivery leg. And we're going to teach the lower body first, then we're going to incorporate upper body movement in, and then we're going to put it all together. And when we do that, we'll have the block leg activation. Say it's a block leg issue, so then we do activation. We have a single leg block leg activation, which takes everything out of the equation and forces you to create the right movement. So what we're going to do is, if we're trying to break an old habit of a poor block mechanic, which is going to be typically tied to the upper body issue, I know I'm talking a little fast, but we're going to focus on how to fix the block leg, how to fix the hip twist, how to fix the upper body, and we are going to apply drills for each thing to pattern, to create a new pattern. And the only way you're going to create a new pattern and get rid of the old pattern is to override it with tons of reps, hence positions patterning. So that's one of the key things. If you're looking to get out of bad habits, number one, you have to be able to identify it. A system like the throwing chain reaction is going to give you 6 pillars, and it's going to show you those points, and it's going to show you what you need to do and how to identify the issue. And you want to identify, is it a pattern issue or is it a chain reaction issue? Because maybe you're not turning your right foot because of your balance or some other aspect in other pillars, which happens often. But oftentimes too, we have a pillar specific pattern problem and we need to fix that. So we're going to do throwing motion patterns and we're going to do position patterns, and patterning is one of simple things in our training process that we call the +10 formula. That means we're going to do 1 throw plus 10 reps, or 2 throws plus 10 reps, or 3 throws plus 10 reps. We're always going to add the pattern and address the weakest link. Throwing is definitely one of those sports where your weakest link is going to create your biggest problems. So how do you get rid of that? A friend of mine who is a former world champion in discus said, you've got to do a drill so many ways, so many times, the correct way that you can't do it any other time. And that was really good advice, and that's basically one of the muses for our patterning strategy, and we've used this time and time again. It takes discipline, but if I can get in 300 reps in a practice with less fatigue and create a better pattern faster, and I do that, and I'm creating 300 reps in a practice instead of just 30 or 40 or 50 throws, I'm clearly going to get better at 300 reps, and it's a very simple technique to use. So be sure to try that, but don't practice the wrong pattern, otherwise you're going to develop a worse habit, and that's a problem, and that's what you need to be able to understand how to use a system that's going to get you better results faster. Okay, so like that said, check out our TCR method program. It's live, it's open to rowers and coaches. Again, we meet live every week, drills, handouts, all the information you need, throwing homework, you've got your practice plans, everything laid out inside the system. Live recordings where you can ask Q&A, interact and engage, and learn in real time, and force you to show there to do the work that you need to do, because there is no shortcut. Okay guys, thanks so much. We'll see you on the next and final throws tip.